Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are joined by our friend and our coach, coaching for relevance, Randy Swaim, joining us here. Excited to talk to us live from the Dallas area today to talk more about leadership, the work he does, and of course, always inspire us and, really sets an example for so many. How are you doing today?
Doing good, doing good. And how are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much. Kids are back to school now for 2 weeks. It's amazing. It's like the best time of the year. It's almost like Christmas for me. What about yourself, darling?
Well, my non-biological great-granddaughter, who is now 15, she's getting ready to, in April, she'll be ready to get her driver's license kind of thing. But she sent a picture, and I got a picture of her dressed up as she was planning to go to the homecoming, the school homecoming celebration and everything, kind of thing. So it's like, wow, that looking at, I mean, I've seen other pictures of her, but just seeing who she's becoming is amazing.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thanks for sharing that. And for those that may not know about yourself, you must give us a little overview. Author and movie star too.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, my background has been mostly in aviation, in military and, flying in military concepts and stuff in uh, fighters, but also flying Learjets, civilian Learjets, but acting as the bad guy to kind of work with training for our strategic air defense forces and everything. And so I was very honored with that. And actually, for about the last 35 years, though, now I've been focused and been involved with developing pilots and instructors and all that. So it's been fun, but I'm also, as you said correctly, I'm also a Marshall Goldsmith certified executive coach, and I'm a certified master level neuroplastician with the Institute for Organizational Neuroscience and the NPN Hub over in Germany. And what that is somebody that totally understands the brain and how it works, and how you need to bring it to what you're doing, and and all that. But as you implied correctly, so I've had a number of people over the last 15 years or so tell me my story is one that needs to be told, and so as you know, my autobiography is now published on Amazon. But also, as you implied correctly, so that Hollywood has finished a movie documentary of my life and journey that's going to be published, and they're actually putting it out on platforms right now. But they're effectively, from what they have said and what I've been told, that it's going to be made available to the public December 14th. So, basically, not very long away. And I'm looking forward to that. And everybody seems to think that knowing what the movie is, that they're really looking forward to it being out there and stuff. So, all of that is that's my passion. And it doesn't mean that I look to try to call attention to myself or my name. But what I hope for is one of these years when I take my last breath, what I hope for is that there are a lot of people that gained an insight, perhaps from me, from my story, whatever, and that insight made a dramatic difference in their life.
Mm,
And that's just what I look for. So that's just kind of what I'm all about.
beautiful. Well, thank you for being here, Randy. And what is the insight for today? You always have something good to share, something innovative, something that's
Well,
going to help
yeah,
us
what I'll
all.
do is it's a little bit of a dovetail on something that I've shared quite some time ago, but it's when you're talking about leading your team, and there is a certain neuroscience aspect of this, because there's a lot of people, and there's one uh, aviation instructor that I have interacted with, and they don't fully understand the nature of it, kind of thing, and I'll kind
Mm-hmm.
of share what that is a little bit. But so many people in today's world, when you're looking at, developing people and teaching people and all that, what they do is they strictly focus on rote, superficial, unclear factoid things
Yep.
kind of thing. And that is a big dysfunction that exists some places. And this is a big dysfunction that interacted with this other person. And I'm not going to give the name. I'm not going to say anything about them, kind of thing. Not going to look to uh, destroy them. But when you look at that, what you're doing is causing somebody's brain to be set aside. Because here's
Yep.
the thing, in a in a in a in a realistic modern environment, now there are times where you can't go out of kind of the the the, the, the normal range and the normal strategic aspect of it. But there are times when you have to, because the factors that come on scene may be totally unexpected. And if you have somebody that is trying to convince you that you just do this academic thing and you never do anything else, you're having them shut their brain off, and you're having them just go through the the aspects of that and just do that. Well, here's the thing, particularly like in aviation, if you're flying a jet airplane and you got people back there, guess what?
Oh.
When something happens, it might be that you have to fly just a little bit faster coming down final than just the rote academic thing that most people think about. And again, you don't want to go so crazy that it's just totally fast and stuff, but understanding clarity in your processing ability. Do
Yep.
you have a clarity on what the
Mm-hmm.
correct speed is for this situation? And it's not just rote academic regulation stuff, kind of thing. It's understanding the real need and cause and driving factor behind something. Just because you want it to be that is not good enough. And that's what a lot of people need to be aware of today. Just because you want it to do that, that's not
Doesn't mean, yeah.
that doesn't mean that it's correct. You have to have an insight into the factors that are at play, and the true insight of them and things of that nature. And if that leads you into flying, say, 15 knots, a little bit faster than you intended, or we're planning on, guess what? That might be important, and you just don't know. But it's not something that is just rote academic, and it's not just something that is just short range, and everybody just shut your brain off and do this. And that's also true, guess what, in business. Now there are times, and I share this with you, when you're talking about leading your team in a business or an organizational environment, that there are often laws that restrict sort of what you can do or how you can do it and everything. But here's the thing, and most attorneys understand this, but when you are clearly aware of the situational awareness of your situation,
Mm-hmm.
are there times when it is ethical
Yep.
to go past the law? And you know what? There are times when that is the case, and most attorneys understand that. But there's also times where it's not the case.
Yeah.
And do you have clarity on that given the situation that you're in? Because what most people try to do today is they just do whatever they want, and then they try to make excuses for it and get people to agree with them. And that's not the purpose of this. The purpose is understanding the real situation that you're dealing with and understanding what the right response is. And, there are some times where the amount of ethics can bypass a law. Now, here's the thing. If you decide that the ethics has to just drop everything on planet Earth and you just go do what you want to do, that's not true ethics. That's playing games with it. But understanding the extent of which your ethical decision needs to uh, go past that law thing, or with an airplane, if the ethics of it is such that you have to fly just a little bit faster coming down final approach on this case or whatever it is, kind of thing. Um, do you have clarity on that? And what a lot of people in today's world have a tendency to do is to choose what they want to do and then go out and make excuses all over the place for it.
True.
That's not doing this. Where
Yep.
this where this orients from
Yep.
is in the mental awareness, and it's the neuroscience aspect of it, the mental awareness of what is the truth here. And with the truth, to what extent does an ethical choice fill in the middle of the truth, kind of thing on that. And all those are aspects that very often, people in our world don't truly understand, and they don't understand, but that's an aspect of really getting your brain processing to the point. And let's face it, some of those, when I work with pilots, or when I work with, in fact, earlier today I was over at a local high school because I was speaking to a high school class that involved leadership and things of that nature, and it was a very key leadership point. And the I had them doing a little exercise kind of thing where, and I don't mean a physical exercise, I mean a leadership exercise as teams, and their reaction to all of that was huge, and it was amazing because you got a chance to kind of get them thinking about stuff like that and all that. But a lot of your awareness that comes into play as to when you may have an aspect of, okay, this is where the leadership needs to apply. But you know what? I just have to be aware that it doesn't take it all the way over there, kind of thing, and have some clarity on that. And let's face it, a lot of that starts to happen when you're truly thinking about your role on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes at dinner when you're thinking about it or whatever, kind of thing. The bottom line in aviation, you know, there are times when your choices are very aligned and very fine. If it ever comes to court, you're good. There's other times where it may not be. And so the bottom
Yeah.
line is it's just one aspect when you're talking about leading your team, and particularly in a rapidly changing environment like organizational maneuverability aligned and everything. It's a matter of thinking that you have to really be involved with. And it's not just, choosing. I mean, you might come up with what you want to happen and to be the case, but the other part of that is, how do you need to make that happen truly? Or how do you not need to make that happen? And those are just some aspects of this whole thing when you're talking about, uh, rapidly changing and unexpected situations that come on scene. Can you, as the leader of your team, truly do that mental processing and make the decision correctly? Or do you do what a lot of people out there in this world do, and that is do nothing but just focus on what this book says I'm supposed to do?
Hmm.
And and you know what? It is important to just understand that aspect of it. But it's, if that's your only thought, you could have a very negative reaction as a situation if you decide, well, that's just what I got to do. And yet the situation actually called for something a little bit different. Nothing crazy, but just something a little bit different, a little bit better that would make more success. And so when you're talking about, like I say, rapidly changing aspects, very aligned with my organizational maneuverability concept and all that, you know, people have to be aware of that. It's not just going through superficial rote academic things.
Yep.
You got to know what those are. No two ways about it. You do have to know what those are, but you also have to bring in this aspect of, at what point do you have clarity? And this is situational clarity, situational awareness on it. on the situation, what most people do is they just go with the rote academic things and say, well, it's like this. Well, guess what? This situation may be just a little bit different.
Yeah.
And you know what? When it is, are you clear on that? And are you making the right decision for that, which not only grants success, but it also brings together aspects of, the ethical
Mm-hmm.
approach, but it applies the ethical approach in a very right, ethical, a picture where you're not just going beyond stuff and just saying, "Oh, just go do this." No,
Hmm.
not that. But it's having clarity on this as to the right and wrong of your choice, and uh, does that make it successful? And there are some times in history that you know some of the listeners may be aware of. There are some times in history where a pilot or a boat commander or something like that, did something that made everybody go, "What?" But it turned out to be the life-saving aspect of it, kind of thing. And, not every time. I'm not saying every single time, but there are a couple of cases out there, and let's face it, depending on the situation that you're in, if you're
Hmm.
making an ethical choice on that, guess what? In this situation, it may be good and right. But
Yeah.
guess what? If the situation was about that much different, it may be totally wrong.
True.
And do we have, as leaders, do we truly have clarity on that? And do we have a way where we lead our team in such a way that they gain the true clarity on this? But even as we go forward in life, our team starts to develop that ability of clarity of vision and clarity of a strategic awareness and all that, and to be able to make the absolute right calls. And this particular person, in aviation that I was just mentioning, again, I'm not going to mention a name or say anything about them, but they were just totally rote academic and nothing else, and just and you know what? There are times when that's right, but you know what? If that's the only thing you ever think about, you're not preparing for true safety.
Yeah.
And so it's just something to think about on that. That this aspect, when you're leading your team, guess what? I was saying it in a little bit of a pilot's orientation. But when you're leading your team, these are factors that can come into play in whatever you're trying to accomplish and whatever factors are coming on scene that were totally unexpected. And can you make the right calls? Sometimes ethical, but sometimes it may be ethics that takes it about that long, that far outside of where it was. But it may be something that's bigger, you know? And are you aware of all that? And are you just making assumptions to do academically and say, well, let's just go do this? If you're doing that, you're not getting it wrong there, and you're not using your mental processing to really visualize the right solution. But if you get your processing in your brain well enough to come up with the right
Yep.
solution, guess what? Amazing things can happen. And guess what? In some cases, I know that along the career, not in my career, but in just the aviation world, there's been times where, you know, a pilot did something, and when they came in and landed, attorneys came out. And when they understood the situation, the attorneys went, good job, good job. And you know what? It's
Aw.
just something to think about when you're looking at this sort of ethical nature of it and how it plays out with organizational thing. And if you're an instructor and all you're doing is going with rote
Yes.
academics things, guess what? You're not
Mm-hmm.
truly developing people. You need to take it a big step further than that. It's good to know the number or whatever, but you got to take it to a more in-depth situation so that their development and their processing and their ability to have situational awareness, clarity on the true situation that's coming on the scene, and they can make the right decision. And that isn't just going with what some book says necessarily. And so it's something to think about when you're talking about this at any point, that we got to just sort of be aware of when we're talking about growing ourselves, but also leading our teams, so that, you know what, if I'm sick one day and all of this happens, the team can still be radically successful. And so all of that is part of it. And so it's just an aspect that a lot of people don't think about, but it's something that just sort of came up just very recently in the last week or so, as I was talking to this one instructor kind of thing. And but it's just something to think about, that
Mm-hmm.
that we have to be aware of, is are we aware of clarity on whether the ethics can get involved here or not? And if so, to what extent? And how are we going to make it successful and right? And all of those are sort of factors that happen when you have unknown, unexpected factors that come on scene.
Yeah, and but
And it's
someone
just
like you,
because there
but
are
someone
some
it's
factors.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but some of it, like I say, it just isn't about what you think, and it's not just about what you thought. It's about, can you make the right decision? And it's not just you getting applause out of it, but it's, are you doing what is right? And that's the key aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, someone like you as a leader, but I feel like a lot of leaders are also hard to let go if they are sick. How many of us leaders continue to go and go? Do we actually take the sick day?
And you know what? Part of the reason for that, not with every single person out there,
Yeah.
trust me, but part of the reason for that is because they haven't developed their team. They become dependent on their ability to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you develop your team along the way, and you have confidence that if I'm sick and I have to run home, they can perform.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a big implication of kind of what you said there. So it's a good point that you brought up. No two ways about it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Randy. Always pleasure talking to you. Let's talk how do we contact you?
Okay, you can just contact me. As you know, um, if you go to my website, coachingforrelevance.com, and down at the very bottom of the homepage, it has a picture. It has a thing of my email address, and it also has a picture of my cell phone. And what I tell people is, and you've heard me say this a lot of times, but um, what I tell people is, I don't play sales games. If you call me, I'm not going to be trying to sell you stuff or whatever. I'll just be having a conversation. Now, if somebody has a need for something, yeah, we'll come up with it, and I'll give them a price, and we'll go get it taken care of, kind of thing.
Awesome.
But if somebody just wants to have a conversation and all that, um, that's fine. No problem. I'll welcome that.
Aw, well, thank you so much. Randy, pleasure having you here, and hopefully I'll see you soon in the upcoming months when you make it to New York, right?
I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to it, because I know, in fact, I actually talked with the manager over at DFW, and I said, I know that we're looking at doing this, probably getting close to December, with December 14th being when the movie's going to be made available to the public. And I said, so we'll look at that. And she said,
Aw,
okay, yeah, let me know. And we'll
awesome.
go up there for a couple of days and be on the studio and stuff for that. So looking forward to it, and looking forward to the movie
Same
getting out
here.
there for sure. And
Thank
I'll
you
tell you
so
what,
much.
it's always a pleasure. Just so you know, Jill, it's always a pleasure being on the show with you. I just so appreciate your friendship and who you are, and just want to let you know it's always a pleasure being here.
You're so sweet. Thank you. Same here, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your day. Really, thank you. Always making me smile on this day. I love it. Thank you so much.
And
I
I'll
have enough
and I got a
energy.
and I got
Yeah.
a smile too. Yeah.
Of course you do. Thank you. I love it. Sets me up for the rest of the day after, the kids get home and I have to run around doctors and sports. So thank you for that. It'll keep me grounded and thinking there's something to smile about. Somebody really does care because my kids don't. You know what they
I
mean. They're a
understand.
little ungrateful at
Yeah.
that age. So thank you for making my day because they won't. I'll be like turning the smile to a frown later when they're not listening to me. All right. Sorry to ramble. Gotta go.
Okay.
Love you,
Well, I'll
Randy.
tell you
Bye
what, we'll see you
bye.
next week. Okay.
Absolutely.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.